So hi, this is Olaf. I'm an elite age group Ironman and a triathlete, and I'm training really hard to get back on the podium in Kona this year. And this is episode 28 of my journey to the Ironman in Kona and St. George. Right, so update, I'm still in France, I'm still in Paris, I'm still in Saint Cloud, right next to Paris, and the training has been going well since Ironman Frankfurt and my training race, stopping after 10 kilometers. I'm basically have been going right into training. It's been mostly easy stuff. But 2 times 6 hours bike was on the program, which I did here in Longchamp, which is great because it's a closed course. And on weekends it gets a bit busy, and there are 2 days, on Wednesday and on Saturday actually, where from 6 to 8 there's a large group riding with the one lap is around 5 minutes, so I think it's just over 3k or something like that. So they basically do one lap easy, one lap at 42, one lap at 46, and one lap at 42, 44, and 46 kilometers an hour. Which in a peloton is quite fun, but because it's not completely flat. There's definitely some big peaks in there to keep up. So one of the 6 hours, I did the first 2 hours sort of in the pack with them, which kept definitely the blood flowing. I think average power was only 175, but definitely didn't feel that way, and there were some quite a few peaks of over 300 watts in there. So then I did another one on Sunday yesterday of 6 hours, where I started just before 6. First 2 hours I was completely on my own, so it was quite slow and then and easy, and then picked up the pace a little bit. So that's over 65 laps, that's sort of 230 kilometers each time. Just under 38 kilometers per hour average. When both skates was I think 37.5, 37.6, something like that. So good fun. And this week I will have 2 6 hours rides there again. Definitely allowed to check the position. I lowered a little bit more the seat, so it actually feels better in my hamstrings. I still have a bit of tightness in my neck, because you're definitely flatter, so you definitely have more weight, and definitely also to look up. It's a bit more straining on the back and the neck than before. I will get used to it. So I will do thousands of kilometers on this thing, so that should be fine. I'm happy that I don't feel anything in the hamstrings anymore. Gives me an excuse not having to stretch, although that is also a recommendation and something I need to do, and so that I will incorporate at least a little bit. On the run side was also really cool. So started to do one run with sort of 5 minutes easy steady tempo, and then 10 minutes steady tempo and hard that I did with Theo, who's here with me, so I can do almost all my runs with him. So that was pretty fun. And then we did a 29 kilometer run on Saturday, sort of sightseeing run around Paris, which is pretty cool. So left here from Saint Cloud, went along the quays, along the river, past La Tour Eiffel, past le Quai d'Orsay, past Notre Dame, and then came back sort of via Louvre, Champs-Élysées, Arc de Triomphe. So really pretty, most of the cool stuff that you can see in Paris. Yeah, at the end my hips started to be a bit painful, etc. But it was a 4:50 pace, so definitely easy. It's quite flat here, Paris, and definitely good fun. So we're gonna have 2 hours 45 easy run coming week on Sunday. Yeah, we might go to Versailles, but yeah, I'll let you know next week. And yeah, so run all good, no pains, as I mentioned, just a little bit still next is a bit stiff back, but bike is good. And on the swim also had 5.5k swim in the pool, which was only open for 90 minutes, so definitely jumping in, swimming right off the bat, and stopping when they kicked me out, but was able to do 5.5k, so 1:32 pace. Also is not too crowded, which is quite nice, and so was able to do that relatively well, and otherwise mainly sort of easy swims. But totally of over the 25 hours in the end, so quite happy with that. Not feeling too exhausted, so everything green, not falling off the bike, no injury, and so doing the easy stuff easy is still a struggle, because on the loop one you have sort of people either that follow you, which always pushes you a little bit, or so the 6 hours were not completely easy, or as easy as they probably should have been, but the runs have been easy, the swim has been okay, and so I feel definitely that my legs are stronger and are getting, you can sort of feel them strong. So I think it's okay, and I'm doing well. Alright, so what I wanted to talk about today is number 1, power versus speed. And that's is especially interesting because on this loop I'm doing here around Longchamp, which is sort of a horse race course, so it's not completely flat. There's one section where sort of it's not sort of high percentage at all, but it's definitely going up a little bit on one side and then sort of coming back down, and there's a flat section, some wind in there as well. But the differences in speed are just massive, depending on where you push, how you push, whether you're warm or not. I've noticed this in racing as well, right? That the power is actually a pretty bad indicator for speed, is a pretty bad indicator for effort. So it's of the best that we have, but it's definitely not telling the whole story. And so it's especially so several things, especially when you have people, when it starts to get more busy. And I think on Ironman course it's the same. If you have actually people who are already on the course that you're passing, that's definitely giving you some draft, and it's definitely making it easier to go fast. And here also, no question, the first 2 hours when I was completely on my own and I was at 200 watts and I was going like under 35, and then at the end when I was not pushing that much harder, but there were lots of people on the course, and I was going at 37. It's so there's definitely an impact on whether you're sort of always passing people or not. So that's one thing to keep in mind. And then the second thing is, when you're not tired, you can, obviously you can spend a lot more time in the aero position, which also, even at low power, makes quite a difference in terms of speed compared to when you are sort of getting up on the handlebars as soon as sort of you see sort of a mini incline. So, you know, really focusing and learning to stay in the aero position, you know, obvious, but it actually does make a quite significant impact. And then also when you're not tired, you can definitely push a bit more. So at the beginning of the climbs, you can definitely push a bit more. Sort of at the end of the climbs, and that actually also makes a massive amount of difference in the speed. And when you're tired, and that was also in Frankfurt on the other hand, you know, you can still push. You know, you're getting up on the handlebars, you can still push pretty good power on the climbs, but you're not moving that fast. And that's why with almost the same power in Frankfurt in the first lap versus the second, I believe that's also one of the reasons why the speed reduced by significantly, and went almost from 38 to 36, or did go from 38 to 36. And that obviously is a massive difference. So yeah, there's not that much you can do about it, but yeah, I suppose that the holding back a little bit more for longer, and then, you know, in order to have just a bit more freshness towards the end, rather than sort of being at the limit, I suppose, is one thing. Really staying in the aero position for as long as you possibly can is another thing. So definitely making a mental note of that. Alright, so the second thing I wanted to talk about was Challenge Roth. I was really looking forward to this race. You know, Frodeno, Lange, Sam Long, Maurice Clavel, which I find a really cool guy as well, were in there. Yeah, Lothar Leder, which you know, run Challenge Roth a few times in the past. The first guy there, I believe, to go ever under 8 hours in an Ironman, and he already said before, listen, it's probably going to get decided on the bike, because in Roth especially there are up to 7 motorbikes with the lead group, between media, officials, and also managers, etc. And that gives such an advantage in terms of drafting that it's almost impossible for people who are behind to make that up. Yeah, unfortunately this is exactly what happened. Yeah, the lead group went 15 minutes faster than or Ditlev at least went 15 minutes faster than Patrick Lange, which is which is just insane. That's over 2 kilometers per hour. And so that I was really disappointed and find that quite unfair. Probably the difference might not have been 15 minutes, sure, but obviously would have been quite different. On top of that, Frodeno dropped out. I mean, I can sympathize. He wanted a training race, get the feel, same as I did in Frankfurt. Obviously not exactly what he sort of said before, but it was pretty likely. He knew that this was gonna happen, I believe. And he obviously helped Ditlev even more because he did a lot of the work at the front. But Patrick still did a great performance. Ditlev, obviously had a great performance. He didn't blow up like he sometimes does. And like he sometimes does in the heat as well. So interesting to see how Kona is going to go for him. But still great performance, and yeah, that always makes you think a little bit, okay, how much risk should I take as well in races? How much should I be pushing? I think after Frankfurt, yeah, I do need to take a little bit more risks. If I go as conservative as in St. George, you know, the win is definitely not going to be in the cards. So yeah, so just have to keep that in mind. Amazing what those pros are able to do these days in terms of times on the run and on the bike. I mean, Patrick ran a 2:35, Ditlev I think a 2:40, and the bike times were between 4:01 and 4:16 for Ditlev and Patrick. So really amazing. So that's always motivating for what you do. But I think still I was disappointed with the race, and don't understand why when they do so many things right in Roth compared to Ironman, in terms of really caring for the athletes, etc., that they don't make for a fairer race for the pros. I don't understand, and obviously they should. I mean, on that they really should do better, and great kudos to Patrick for not complaining about it himself. But he knows, at the end of the day. So must give him a lot of confidence for Kona and for the next stage. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe. As usual, give me your comments. I answer all of them, I believe, and yeah, it's really great to be on this journey. It's great to for you to be part of this journey. I really appreciate that. It allows me to once in a week reflect and focus on what's important and what I've been doing, and so yeah, really appreciate it. Thanks again, and stay tuned.